Hi everyone. Hello, hello. Hi Jaleh, how are
Welcome
you?
back. I'm fine.
Yes,
How are you?
fine,
And
thank
thank
you.
you
And
for for your time, and thank you for everybody watching.
no problem.
And
Let's talk about
we yes,
yeah.
let's talk about it.
And I just thought, I just think that COVID is off and war is in. It is a strange times we are living in, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
uh, like everybody know, this is the eighth day of the invasion of Ukraine by
Ukraine.
Putin.
Yes.
We should say Putin because it is not Russian war, and simply it is
Yeah.
one authoritarian leader who have
Yes.
been in the last 22 years president of Russia, in making war with a country neighbor to
Yeah.
or middle of the in the middle of the
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
Uh, but let's talk a little bit about because I see on the social media some discussion about why the reason behind this war, and some
Yeah.
trying to justify it
Yes.
even.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Jale? What's going
I
on?
think it's
Why Putin
so
decided to make war in
I think it's so
Ukraine?
sad. Um I think it's so sad that we don't have an understanding about about what the Western countries are in this world, uh, opposed to versus totalitarian regimes, regimes, authoritarian and totalitarian cultures and mindsets, even upbringing, the way you bring up children, the way you have a family, the way you have a culture, about understanding, about civilized conversation, about tolerance. Tolerance is really the key word when it comes to democracy. If you have a democratic society or a democratic minded society, you have tolerance, you have disagreements, and if you have disagreements, you sit in a civilized manner and you discuss things, and you don't kill each other, you don't go to war with each other, you don't even hit each other, right? This is a civilized way that we are used to in the West. I know that there are other cultures because I come from one culture that is not like this. So
The
I
same
know
me too.
that, yeah, I know that around the world it's not like this. But the Western world has forgotten or has not been in contact with only the good sides. You know, they go to Thailand and they sunbathe and eat some uh, foreign food and they think, oh, that's so wonderful. But the system in Thailand is not wonderful. You know, there is no democracy really in Thailand, and there are battles between different groups, and there are, terrorist attacks and so on in the rest of the world. So we have to understand that other cultures around the world are not like the Western culture. And for instance, Putin is a great example of this. Putin does not understand normal diplomacy when it comes to international law. He doesn't understand human rights. He doesn't understand democracy. He doesn't understand negotiations, civilized conversation. That is why we are surprised. And I, even though I knew that Putin was like this, even I am surprised by this horrible invasion and
Actually,
by
I'm
the,
not.
yeah, you're not.
No,
But memory. I read the memory, this Israeli new. It's very good. They have a lot of good foreign policy analysis, and I read one of their analysis today, and they said normally even Iran, disguises their attacks on other countries by supporting, for instance, in Yemen, supporting Houthis, uh, supporting Assad, supporting and having these epoxy wars, different countries. He disguised it, right? But Putin did not disguise anything this time. He just went for Ukraine and didn't
yeah,
think much of it. But
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'm thinking that, of course, it's clearly that it is long time planned, this invasion. It should maybe be in another country too, like we have seen in Georgia before, but it
yes.
didn't take too much attention of Europe. So I am amazed, I am shocked by European leaders, how they are in shock that what Russia doing today, because this is simple thinking. You have one authoritarian president in your neighborhood, and he have been there in 22 years, and
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and this guy is building his military much stronger than ever. They are
Mm-hmm.
researching new weapons. They are using more money to their military than anything else. In the same time, a weak Europe,
Mm-hmm.
and weaker than never have been in the last 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
They are cutting finance of their military, and
Yes.
and even they are collaborating much stronger with Putin and like him people, with China, even with they want to do with Iran too,
Yes.
making deals like gas deal with Russia. What kind of mind is that? Germany is cutting their military finance like 50% almost, and making big deal and bidding itself to the Russia with gas. And even right now we have electricity um, problems in the Europe, uh, and then, like, what do you think? Why they what they thought? What kind of world they are living in? Because this is the real world. Like you said, we are different, and we have countries thinking different. Even they are thinking to expand their country. Expansionism
Yeah.
there is there. Putin have this,
Yeah.
Iran have this, Turkey, Erdogan have a big dream
Yeah.
about Ottoman, taking back
Yeah.
Ottoman. If he
Yeah.
have the
Exactly.
power, if he have
Yeah.
some nukes, he will also threaten Syria,
Yeah.
Armenia, Georgia,
Even the West. Even the
even the
West.
West. Yes, and even the
Yes.
Balkans. He will say, "This is my country. It was
Yeah.
mine."
And the problem
Yeah,
is that even within NATO, we have Erdogan
yeah,
right now. We don't understand that we have enemies. We don't want enemies. We don't want to be anybody's enemy, but we don't want to understand that we have enemies. We have countries that see themselves and act as our enemies. We have to understand this. We cannot ignore this. Um, we cannot pretend it's not real. We have been, for many years we have been pretending it's not real. That is why we think, oh, if we just negotiate with the Iranian regime and make economic deals with the Iranians, then they will become democratic minded. This, I have sit with Danish foreign ministers, right? And he said, I had this long talk with the Iranian foreign minister and one foreign minister to another, I really think that he meant it when he said that they want to reform Iran. This is bullshit. This is the bullshit that they have been feeding the West. I don't know for how long, and they still believe that Iranian regime will reform itself if it's just waiting for a couple of more deals and more economic development, and then it will become a democracy. No, it's not, it doesn't work like this. It's the same with China. There is this theory: if we just have international relations with other countries, they will become capitalism, and international relations will lead to other countries becoming like us. But it doesn't make any sense. The theory doesn't make sense in the beginning of it, but now we have had so many years of trying to see, oh, we had international relations with Iran, with Russia, with China. None of these countries have reformed in any way. They have only become more totalitarian. They have killed more of their own people who are against their regimes. They are oppressing people of their own country, of their own nationalities, and putting them in jail, torturing them. Even Russia tried to kill their opposition, a former spy in London or in England, right?
Yes.
So what are we waiting for? We have to cut our relations with these countries. We cannot have our chips produced by China. We are in need of chips and these microchips and other things. Our phones, our computers. We don't want them from China. We don't want.
These authoritarian countries became more stronger, and Europe and the West became more weak because of they make them dependent to these countries, like you say, China, Russia. What you think? That many people says that because of but we have to understand that Russia going in Ukraine because of America and the West. They want to get them in the NATO, and surely Putin giving reaction to that. Like they say, what about if Putin put some missiles in Cuba? What should America do? And so Putin doing the same thing. What do you think about that? Is it the main reason? It can be the one of the
I
reason.
think. Look, I think it's. Let's start with who's at fault here. Who is the aggressor?
Right.
Ukraine is a sovereign country. Russia started a war of aggression against a sovereign country. Let's start there, understand this. A lot of people, even in my own, family, I have heard people say, "Have you heard about how America is making Putin attack Ukraine?"
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you saying? Even that you're saying, and it's the same with the Palestinian and Israel, right? Can you see how Israel is making Palestinians be terrorists? No, terrorism, it has roots. You don't just become a terrorist because somebody is oppressing you. This is a choice you make yourself. If you want to go to a war of aggression, this is a choice you make, right? Nobody can make you go to war with another country. So I don't even understand. But I'm very surprised and very sad because also even on the right wing there are people, also on the left wing there are people who support or don't want to condemn Russia.
Yeah.
They are coming along right now. I think I can see that people are starting to say, for example, Candace Owens and a lot of the people on the right, they're like now trying to say, okay, we condemn Russia, but also Ukraine is
Yeah.
at fault and everybody's at fault. Everybody's evil.
And what about
Right?
Afghanistan? What about Libya?
Yeah. What about Iraq?
Yeah.
What about Yemen?
I see like it seems history is repeating itself. When you look the Second World War, in the beginning, Hitler acted like Putin. The same reasons, like they are annexed Austria and some other neighbor place in neighbor countries like Poland. But even then, in the beginning, even in England and many countries, a lot of sympathizer, like people sympathized with Hitler. They said, yeah, but he are right because of this is Germany's Austria, for example. Like, this is the one side of the story. But like you said, I'm totally agree. We have to look to who is defending their freedom and who is attacking to make country a puppet country. This is Russia,
Yeah.
right? They did
Yeah.
this in Georgia. They did this in Belarus, Kazakhstan, and we have to look what Putin really says. Like when ISIS say why they are attacking a suicide bombing in or attacking Charlie Hebdo or whatever, instead of we should hear them why they are doing that. we are just coming with our analysis and like say, because of racism, because of poverty, people joining ISIS, etc. We have to look what Putin says, and Putin tried to first blame Ukraine to be a Nazi country and they are doing genocide without any proof, without any facts. In the first speech of him before he attacked Ukraine, and later I think he didn't like his speech too, so he have to make one more speech right before go into the Ukraine, and there he says Ukraine shouldn't exist. This country is Russia's. Like, and I have a nuke. Like, in Europe, we are tolerating an authoritarian dictator who can say whenever he want like this, hey, you are friend with who I don't like, so don't be friend with them. If you be friend, I'm coming inside and I have a nuke. This is but this is the reality of world. If some country is very stronger and they have dictators, they are capable to everything. And this is what Western countries have forgotten. They have been living in a dream world, la la land, like globalism, everything is fine, love and rose. So look at what we have been busy with in the last 20 years. Me Too, Islamophobia and sex, like identity. And the big crisis between left
racism,
and right.
We are looking for racism in everything, even when there's no racism to be found.
A divided Europe, and weak
polarized
Europe. So if I was a dictator, I should use the opportunity too. And this is what Putin did. But Putin haven't think, or maybe, I don't know, maybe he haven't think that it will be a big reaction from people. And now I'm very proud that in the Europe and in all around the world, hundreds of thousands of people on the streets and supporting the freedom of Ukraine. What I have noticed it, after 4 days in the war, still many people wondered that where is German Chancellor Scholz? Why he's not speaking? Why he's not doing anything? But right after, many 100,000 people gathered together in Berlin streets and demonstrated with Ukrainian flags. Then on Sunday, I think in the 5th or 4th day of the invasion, he had one speech. It was wonderful. I'm totally agree with him, and he's changing their policy. Suddenly he wake up. And this is because of people's power. Now he says that Germany will use every year 100 billion euro to their military development, upgrade, and everything. But this was what Trump said to the NATO leader. Let's play maybe this video before we continue. This is very important because I don't think everybody seeing that. And it's not about Trump, okay, everyone. It is not about Trump. It's about right and wrong things. Nobody. Just listen and write on comments what you are disagree with what Trump said when he confronted the NATO leader.
I think it's very sad when Germany makes a.
It's no sound, I think. Just a second. Okay. Is there sound?
Massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to.
I don't think. I will do it again. Just a second.
I could hear it, but.
Oh, you could hear it? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. and then numerous of the countries go out.
Just a minute.
I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%, whereas the United States, in actual numbers, is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. So I think that's inappropriate also. You know, we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect. Now, this has been going on for decades. This has been brought up by other presidents, but other presidents never did anything about it because I don't think they understood it or they just didn't want to get involved. But I have to bring it up because I think it's very unfair to our country. It's very unfair to our taxpayer. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period. They have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem. I don't think it's fair to the United States.
I cannot hear nothing. I hope
we're going to have to
everybody...
do something because we're not going to put up with it. We can't put up with it. And
sound went up, but I think this is so great for you to have found this clip. I remember when Trump was saying this, and I remember when also Trump was saying, you know what, you cannot buy you cannot buy and install. If Denmark just had this thing from China, they bought Huawei cameras, surveillance cameras, and now they are all coming down because now after so many years they understand, oh, this can be used for spying on us.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
You know, this video is proving, I say again, it is not about Trump, okay, people, but this video is proving that we have been living in a dream world long time.
Yeah.
And when somebody confront us, we say he's crazy man. He was not. I cannot see anything wrong what he said to the NATO leader. You know, this has been a problem. Like Germany and all other countries financing Putin to make bigger bomb. Can you see that the crazy thing is what's going because of weak leaders and weak Europe? And this is the only thing what can make difference is that if every country go back to the reality and stop being in this illusional world that everybody is the same and every culture, religion are equal. We are living in a global world and it's okay. Everything will be okay. A war is only in the Middle East. No, my friend. When you have like these people, like dictator, like Assad, like Saddam in Europe, then you have to prepare yourself. You have to never give up upgrading your military equipment for defense. And this is the time maybe because the Scholz speech was about that, he said he realized suddenly that we are living in a new world. But what he forgot that this is a not new world. We are living in old world. But he thought that it was a new world.
Yes, we
at
have to
some
be. Yes, we have to be independent from these war criminals. We have to be independent from these tyrants, right? We have to be independent from China, Iran, Russia. We have to make our own technology. We have to have our own energy. We have to have all of these things. These countries, they need somebody like Trump, because Trump can understand these people, because
strong
Trump,
leaders. Yeah.
yeah, he understands their mentality and where their mentality is. When somebody says, I'm your enemy, you should believe these people. When they're telling themselves and us that they're our enemies, when our secret police knows that China is spying on us, right? When they know that Russia is spying on us, Iran is spying on us, they have spies within our countries. They have had spies within Norway and Denmark trying to come here and kill, opposition
Yeah.
people, right? Also in Sweden and other countries, right? And they have done this also earlier in history. Why don't we have a normal reaction towards this? You know what? In 2018, an Iranian diplomat,
Yeah.
a diplomat from Iran, took a bomb from Iran in his suitcase, went on the plane and took it to, I think, Austria, and then from there he went to Belgium with a car. And who do you think found this out? Israeli intelligentsia found this out, and then they arrested him with the bomb, after he had given the bomb to other people who are going to go with the bomb to a huge conference in Paris, where Trump's lawyer, this Giuliani, was supposed
Yeah.
to be there, and other people were supposed to be there, and this bomb was supposed to have blown up that conference. We know this. This diplomat has been convicted, right? He got, I think, 20 years or something like that, right? A lot of other people from Iran has spied and have been convicted in European countries. There is no normal reaction towards Iran. There is no normal consequences towards Iran, China, Russia. And these people have been, conspired against the European countries, against America, and so on. But they haven't been met with normal. And also in there was also this Iranian person who was caught in Texas. He was from Texas, I think, originally, but he was planning, an Iranian American who was planning to blow up the Saudi ambassador in Washington, and he was caught and he was jailed and convicted also. And this was under Obama, right? But these have not been dealt with in the right way, right? Iran knows not to fuck with Trump, right? Russia knows not to fuck with Trump, and all of these gang mentality leaders around the world. They know that somebody like Trump understands them, right? But somebody like Biden or European leaders, they don't really understand what's going on. They don't meet these.
I agree. When European countries know that Putin is not Putin like a dictator, authoritarian person, and one iron fist, and in the same time they have a relationship with him like he's a one normal president of a country in all these years. I'm agree with you, and this is the reason that I believe if we will wake up, European countries have to think new and again, and we need patriotism and nationalism. But this means not that we will be not united. We need a strong. All democratic countries in Europe have to be united, but in the same time they have to be stronger, each and only. Everyone. Like you see, Norway is a little country with 5 million people, but they have very good economy and a lot of money. But they are wasting their money in everywhere. They are giving to all the dictators and everywhere. Even they are giving money to China. Do you know that? like aid, because China is like
Yeah, Denmark too. It doesn't make any sense.
yes,
I think also Denmark. Yes.
instead of I'm against war, and I'm against all war, but this means not that you will be pacifist, that you will be not stronger for defensive. All defense
Yeah.
have to be stronger. So Norway have money to buy a lot of drones,
Yeah.
a lot of missiles and anything
Yeah.
you can say, but they are not doing actually. But maybe they will do after this. When you see even the most neutral countries, Swedes,
There
doing
is a reason why
sanction.
we are not under Hitler's rule, right? Why we are not under Nazism in Europe. There is a reason for that. That's because people fought against,
Yeah.
Nazism, right? That if we have to understand that our freedoms are not to be taken for granted. It's not free to have freedom. We have enemies, we have borders, and we have to protect ourselves against this. And I see some people in the comments have commented about how NATO should have not expanded or had thoughts about expanding to the east and so on. And there were also other people. And you know what? This is Putin's argument, saying that we are afraid of getting invaded.
Yeah.
So this is why we are doing this. You cannot say we are killing civilians and going to war and destroying a country because we are afraid. But nobody is about to, invade Russia. Who is going to invade Russia?
Yes. And
That's not how Western countries think.
I understand the argument what he's saying.
Yeah.
If both country have if both country was an democratic country and equal, like a free country, I can understand this argument. But what Putin says this argument too, right? But he says clearly that Ukraine shouldn't exist, and he talking about expansion.
Yeah.
He talking about Soviet Union. So we
He
have
wants
to
the great
listen
Soviet
to
Union.
the,
Yeah.
the guy who is making war with Ukraine. And everyone,
It's like when
let me just say, every one of us know that, even the guy Nilas Nile, I'm sure that every one of us wishing that, think, if Russia is a one democratic country, free country, and have leaders not like dictators, and think if they were like a country, like another country, like Latvia, Germany, Norway, or whichever country in Europe, think how strong we could be, right? And this is all our wishes, everyone wishing that Russia will be a free country. And Russia is not free country, and Putin is a despot, and this is clear. Okay, a guy who came with war, with Chechen war, and after that, now he been re-elected after Georgia aggression against Georgia, and now about 2 years he say that he want to be president 14 years too, until he's 84 years. Now today is his 70 years. So he's a dangerous guy. And they are living with the communist ideology, and of course he's not alone. Many people behind him who also want to get all these countries which they have lost, which they lost after Soviet Union end. So we have to think realistic. Russia absolutely wish or want to get their countries back. They say their countries back, and when they have opportunity, they will do this, because now he clearly see that in Europe there is no strong leader, in a really weak Europe, including United States, and even we are paying him to build his military more stronger than ever, and then he will do something. But we have to hear him too. He don't say this is the only reason he's attacking NATO. And I'm sure, what will happen in Ukraine. I see like this, that either Ukraine will be a free country and Russia will go out of Ukraine, or Ukraine will be a country like Belarus, like puppet country of Kremlin, Moscow. These two things. So if they manage to do that, like a puppet country, he put a leader there under his control, it will not stop there. It will not stop there. Later, maybe Latvia, Lithuania. So it is clearly that. So we have to support. But what do you think, Jaleh, about sanctions?
I think it's important to have sanctions now, but we need to move away from having anything to do with these countries, right? So, so that we cannot use sanctions in the future. But now that we have this tool, sanctions, we should use it to the extent that we can, because we don't want to. I do understand that we don't want to um, create more conflict. We want the conflict to end. We want the war to end, right? We don't want people dying. We don't want Russian soldiers dying. We don't want Ukrainians dying. We don't want murdered and destroyed. So we don't want more aggression, but we have to use sanctions as a non-military tool to stop Putin, right? And to make the Russians also see what their leader is doing to them, right? Because he has been a leader, he hasn't really been met with great opposition. People, at least we don't know, but people from outside, the analysis is that people are okay with Putin, but I don't think they're okay with this. I don't think they're okay with war. I don't think they care. Normal Russians, I don't care if Ukraine becomes Russia or not. They just want to live their life. They want to have good, good economy, good possibilities
Welfare.
for their children, normal stuff, right? But of course, when Putin is the tyrant that he is, he's killing opposition leaders, he's killing writers, authors, journalists, so on. Then people are afraid, they will not go out and protest and so on. And if they do, they're being dealt with. We saw Pussy Riot. Was it called Pussy Riot?
Pussy Riot, yeah, right.
Yeah. And other, LGBT, and even people who are like doing cultural stuff, they were, dealt with in a harsh way. And, homosexuals and so on. We know who Putin is. And why do we think that somebody who treats his own people like that, how do we think he will act towards other countries that he doesn't like, that he views as enemy, right? He views the West as enemy, and he might not be a communist. I don't think he's a communist. He's just he just hates the West, right? He's a that this is his
he's more patriot than any other leaders in Europe.
Yeah. He's patriotic on behalf of a great Russia, and he wants to go back to a great Russia. He wants to be this, he wants the great Russian culture to be, not respected but feared. This is also a very big distinction between free-thinking people or democratic-minded people and totalitarian people, right? They think that if you fear me, you have respect for me, right? But the respect is not about fearing someone. Respect is genuinely respecting someone. I respect you because you did this. I respect you because you did that. Fear is something else. But these dictators around both in Iran, Islamic culture, Russia and China, they think that fearing the people fear us, then they respect us. No, it's not the same.
Yeah,
It's two
and I
different
believe Jaleh
things.
was like I agree with you, and I believe only one who can stop Putin, it is Russian people. And
Yeah,
this is the reason he's hiding even his invasion of Ukraine from his. He's doing as much as he can to hide. Even many soldiers' mother doesn't know that their sons were in Ukraine and captured, for example. And he's close to the opposition TV channel in the last day, and like nothing happening. But even 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 thought a lot of people in Russia demonstrating against this war. So
yeah,
this we can stop this, and we can wake Russian people with sanctions, and this is a good, really good thing. But it's not
yeah,
enough. Like you say, we have to stop any buying and selling
yeah,
with Russia. You know,
yeah, yeah,
this have a while
yeah,
until something's happening
yeah. Until the war stops.
because all these years we are who are we who are financing Putin's war machine.
Yeah,
You know, buying
exactly.
gas,
Yeah,
buying oil, buying
yeah,
everything. We have to stop with that, and even with China too, actually,
yeah.
because you know, like you cannot. We have to stop making our what is the bedel
Excuses.
no executioner our
Ex. Yeah, executioner.
yes,
Executioner.
you know,
Yeah,
they are like they are acting like they are enemy, and they are waiting the
yeah,
time to be aggressive, and
yeah,
so stop financing them.
yeah.
We can build our we don't need to buy anything actually from these countries, so
We need to be independent. Yeah,
making them alone will make that people will wake up, and they will change their leaders, and this is the only
yeah,
solution. War is not
yeah,
solution, because
yeah,
today you know, like I said, I have to remind one more time, you know, when Russia is making bombs which can make tsunami, making
yeah.
bombs, hypersonic bombs,
Hmm.
the West is busy with the transgender or man or
Yeah.
woman or
Racism.
climate change. Who cares? Look at these countries. They have
Yes.
nuclear central, but Germany closing their nuclear central
Yeah.
and making deal with Russia buying by
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah. Yeah. Racism in emojis. Let's talk about racism in emojis. What color emojis do you use, Joel? Is it
Yes, I mean,
this was
of course,
discussed
it is okay to
right
discuss
before.
these things and speak about that, but it should never be a main topic of countries. You know, like we are so divided. Even COVID-19, climate, Black Lives
Yeah.
Matter, Me Too, Islamophobia, racism,
Yes.
right and left wing. It is enough. We have to go back to the reality, like I say, and really see the real world
Yeah. And you
and
know
be
what?
independent.
Because because I'm against or I'm against Islam, and or I criticize Islam, and I criticize immigration in the West, right? I have been persona non grata, right? And a lot of places in the media, in the politics of Denmark, I've been isolated more and more. The more I've become a critique of the more I've criticized Islam and immigration, I've been more, isolated. And at one point, RT, the Russian television, started asking me if I wanted to do interviews. And I really didn't think so much about it the first time. I said, okay, because at that time, I had given interviews to Danish newspapers and so on. It was about, when Köln, it's called Köln, it's a Cologne, I think it's called,
Köln,
yeah, it's in a city in Germany where they had a lot of problems with the you become blurry.
It will come back, I believe.
Okay. In the city, they had many problems with sexual harassment, right? Because of a lot of refugees from other countries had
Yeah, I
come
remember.
to Germany. Yeah. And then RT asked if I wanted to give, because I had criticized, immigration policies and the fact that we don't want the Western people, they don't want to talk about the problems with immigration and so on. And I gave an interview, and after that I was contacted many times, and I was like, no, I don't really, because it just seemed it seemed very aggressive towards the West, but this is Russia being aggressive towards the West, and Russia I cannot support because I have my problems with the Western leaders, with the Western, academia and so on, but I cannot support Russia against the Western media or against the Western politics, against Western academia, because even though I have problems with Westerners in the Western society, I cannot, at all support Russia, and it became very obvious to me that they were using me and other people in the Western countries who are isolated in the first place. And when you're isolated politically, and also with you be censored in every way, right? It's very easy to say, okay, let me just give this interview, then I have it on tape, I can share it on social media, I can use it. Who cares about Russia, right? I'm just saying what I feel. And I think we should think about how we are polarizing our societies, calling each other racist, calling each other bad things, enemies, and so on. This is not a good thing for us. We have to understand, even though we are in disagreement about different things, let's talk to each other, let's have civilized conversation with each other, even though we disagree, because we don't want Russian bots and Russian propaganda, or Chinese bots or Chinese propaganda, and Iranian bots and Iranian propaganda. And we know they are working towards polarizing public discourse in the West. We have to stand against that, and we have to understand that we cannot censor each other. We cannot, I'm still suspended, from Facebook, and this is a huge problem in the West. Censorship will lead people to now think that, oh, Russia supported me, they gave me a voice, and now I think some of these people are maybe in the wrong because of the fact that Russia has played a role in the public discourse of the West, and I'm really sad about it. We should really have open dialogue, and not call each other anything bad, and try to understand each other, and try to understand what we have in common that we don't have in common with people from outside of the Western world. And yeah.
I totally agree. I don't know what's happening with my camera. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, it's okay.
I fix it right now, but I'm totally agree. And we have to talk a little bit about, before we are finished with this live streaming, about Ukrainian bravery. Actually,
Yes.
really brave people defending their country, and I don't know how long they can keep doing this.
Yes.
We just have to hope that they will not let their freedom go from them. They are doing everything. Of course, I'm against war, against and even when Putin threatening threat world with nuclear war, it is really, I don't know what will happen. But of course, I'm supporting totally Ukraine and their freedom, and it's not about Russia or Iran or China, but it's about dictator people. and they are all time, they are all the time, they will be dangerous, and they will use maybe one day, you never know, nuke. But
Yeah.
we cannot be afraid. We have to stay strong, and sanctions is okay, but we have to stop really every connection with like these despots. This is the only solution. All these years, before they had relationship with Gaddafi, he was dictator then too. Many years they had good relationship. The West had good relationship with Saddam. Many years with Iran, with Syria, but all of them were dictator. But
Yeah.
like they tolerating them many years, and suddenly one day they say no, now is enough, and it's not a good thing. This make that many people writing everywhere that what about Yemen, what about, but this is another topic, so I don't want to discuss about that. But we have to change our foreign policy. We
Yeah,
have
but
to,
if you, yeah,
you know it's a good thing to support democracy. It's a good thing
yeah,
to care about other people, but first you have to think your country, and you have to be stronger.
yeah,
And this
and
is,
yeah.
yeah.
You know what? I thought about this. Think about this every time I look at the Palestinian situation. Right, there is so much destruction when it comes to, when you look at what the Palestinians have done to themselves. Right, every time they want to do something new, it's more about destruction than building. You you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, also.
And with Iran, they're destroying the Middle East. For instance, in Yemen, they supported the Houthis against Saudi Arabia. They have a proxy war in Yemen, in Syria, in Lebanon. They're supporting all of these dictators, and they're destroying, right? In Iraq as well. All of these um, different movements and regimes in the Middle East, it's so easy for them to destroy, to kill, to, you know, and this is also what Putin has shown. It's
Yeah.
so easy for him to destroy. I don't understand this. As a person who is Western minded and who is, for diplomacy, for civilized conversation, for the free speech, for all of these things, it comes so, I don't understand. How can you bomb Ukraine and all of these beautiful buildings, all of these beautiful people? What are you doing? What do you want from this? They
I
don't
think
want you there.
it is maybe,
So
yeah.
when you have, when you're not democratic minded, destruction is so easy for you, right?
Yeah.
And this is we should be, in a way, happy that it's not a normal thing for Westerners to think about destruction, about war, about military engagement, and so on. But we have to understand that our enemies, destruction is just another day for them. It's
Yeah.
so easy for them to destroy.
But do you think there have been a lot of wars around the world, but it was far away from Europe, and now it's happening in the middle of Europe almost. Do you think this will be an eye opener? Do you have hope for that? Many countries will change their thinking, and they will rethink the failures in the last
Yeah.
decades.
I think that a lot of Westerners, a lot of Westerners, normal people, and also Western leaders, they thought that Ukraine would just say, "Okay, Russia, come and take us, come make us your bitch," right? Uh, and they didn't think that Ukrainians were going to fight back. They didn't think they would defend their country, they and their freedom, because when under Russia, they don't have their freedom, they don't have their country, but they don't have their freedom even, right? Because Russia is not a free country. Ukraine has a democracy. So when if Ukraine becomes Russia, then they don't only lose their nationality and national identity, they also lose their freedom. And this is what I hope, that this will change the minds of a lot of Westerners and Western leaders, to understand that there is a very huge sacrifice that Ukrainians are doing now, and it's so brave, and it's so and but I mean, it's hard to understand why a person could risk their lives for this, but this is because we have been living in freedom and not understanding what we have, and what we have we can lose. And this is the reality of Ukrainians. They had freedom, they have freedom, but they are very close to losing it. But they're putting up a huge fight, and it's so brave of them. And we have to acknowledge that we have enemies, and that we cannot just live in la la land
Yeah,
anymore.
and Nilas says Ukraine has democracy. Are you kidding? I don't know what you are thinking, but they have more democracy than Russia.
Let's just
This
talk
is
about, yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the other things, they are fighting to have democracy. There were a lot of corruption, and they had a puppet leader from Russia,
yeah,
and they get rid of him after Orange Revolution, and they are trying their best to have a democracy. They have enough democracy, absolutely more than Russia. I don't know what you think.
yeah.
Do you think, Niels,
Democracy is
that
never perfect,
Russia
even
have
in,
democracy?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But
I mean, even,
we don't want to lose, and an European country who want to be a democratic country. We don't. Do you want that this country will be a puppet country of Putin? No one want that. Maybe
and also,
some people like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, also, I think let's just look at Putin's first argument, right? It was, I'm going to Ukraine to rinse Ukraine, to denazify Ukraine. Ukraine has a prime minister that is Jewish. He is a Jewish man.
Yeah.
So how is he leading a country that is Nazified? Does that make any sense?
People
And
will decide. If Ukrainian people says yes, they want to be with Russia, of course they can go. This is the
yeah,
problem of many people. They don't answer. For
exactly.
example, I'm against like if Donbass, in or Crimea want their independent, or they want to go inside Russia because they do election and 99% says
Yes,
they are Russian.
yes,
I
yes,
think then they should go.
yeah,
If Kurdistan or some
yeah,
place in Syria or in Turkey want their independence,
yeah,
and all people says yes, almost all is enough, 99%, then they should have their freedom. So this is just like that. We have to be finished with this old 10th century expansions ideas. We have to give people
yeah.
freedom. So I will respect
This,
Ukraine if they want to go under Putin. I will
yeah,
respect them.
this is
But
this is
I'm
why we should have the respect for negotiations, for diplomacy, for elections, for free speech, for civilized conversation. This is our civilization. Putin and others, they understand force, right?
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about respect versus fear. They understand force. They don't understand
Excuse me,
words.
just
They
I
don't
want to say,
understand. Yeah.
Neela, now you're acting like a troll. What freedom does the Yemeni people have? Ask Saudi Arabia, my friend.
Or
Ask,
Iran. They're
yeah,
fighting
ask
inside
them.
Yemen.
And
They're
this
killing.
is
Yeah.
this is another big problem with the Muslim countries. Look
Yeah.
at how European countries united people on the street, supporting Ukraine because of war is in their neighborhood. But what happened when Yemen war? Where is the all Muslim countries who are uniting? Here, stop war. We want to
Yeah.
stop this war. When is in Syria? No, look at Turkey, sporting war, Iran,
Look,
sporting war.
even look at,
You know,
yeah.
this is a big thing which is missing: a lack of unity, lack of humanity. There is, this is the problem. So, and they come today with what is with Yemen, what is with Baghdad, what is with Iraq, what is, because people
And
want to.
also Yemen. Let's look at Yemen. Yemen is a
Yeah, I
country
don't.
where the Houthis were put in power from Iran. Iran gave them military, is giving them military, is giving them economic aid to rule Yemen. Saudi Arabia is now bombing the Houthis and Yemen because Iran and Saudi Arabia have been doing this for years now. ISIS and Saudi Arabia on the one side, Hezbollah and Iran on the other side, they're doing Sunni Shia war, sectarian proxy wars all over the Middle East. So this is you know, Islamists, Sunni Islamists, Shia fighting each other.
Last time I
So
will
what do you
highlight.
mean?
Last time I will highlight Nila's comment, and I want to say this comment I'm agree with. Yes, I mean they should ban it every dictators, even Saudi Arabia. But it look like Saudi Arabia is, will be a very free land maybe in the future, because what the Crown Prince is doing right now, it's good thing. But yes, I'm agree with you, Nilas, and they should do the same thing what they are doing right
We
now
should
against Putin. They should do against every dictator. They should do.
we should not be dependent in any ways,
Yeah.
economically, politics, or otherwise, on dictators like Iranian regime,
Yeah.
on Saudi Arabia, all of these countries. And we should, every time we have any negotiations with them, we should be as hard as we can to get as much as we can, not just saying, okay, if you promise not to make a nuclear bomb, we will just give you everything.
Yeah.
And they know that the Iranians are lying. They have lied to them so many times, and they still go back to the same table, try to make a deal with Iran.
Yeah. And this
And
is
now
yeah.
Russia is still in, right? Russia is, they're having talks with the US. Russia is still a part of that negotiations with Iran on nuclear.
And this is what we are trying to explain, that we have to wake up, and I hope this will be an eye opener, that we will stop acting like we are partners with dictators for a long period. You know, they do this in everywhere. Stop this. Stop acting like you are partner with your enemies. Actually, I have to say that.
Yeah. Yes.
So be independent and be
And
stronger.
can I just say, Saudi Arabia just it's I think it's so horrendous, you know. But what is it? He's called Raif Badawi. Am I the atheist? He's called Raif Badawi, right? Am I?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be freed a couple of days ago.
Oh.
And they are not freeing him. Yes, he has been in
like this thing, and now, you know, this is the double morality again, but because of Western policies, failed policies, you know, now they say that Saudi Arabia have to put more or they have to have more oil right now, or gas, so they want to buy from them, you know. Going from one dictator to another dictator is not the solution. So okay, you can have diplomacy with Saudi Arabia and say, okay, you are doing great reforms, but what about Raif Badawi or other people in prison? Until you release them, we have no handle with you. We have to, but the problem is, of course, then people say, what about our welfare? Oh, now prices will go up. Yeah, because thanks to our politicians, all these years made us dependent to these shit holes. I have to say, in these shit holes.
Shithole countries, yes.
Yeah, look.
I agree totally.
You know, look at who are supporting invasion of Russia. the countries is a few countries, but it's very important to look at them. I have a picture. I have to look this.
I just want to say about Raif Badawi, he was arrested 10 years ago because he had an atheist blog. As I remember it, he got I think 1,000 floggings and 10 years in prison. Now these 10 years have been over a couple of days ago. He should have been released from prison, and even this they haven't done. They haven't released him. He shouldn't have been jailed for 1 day. He has been jailed for 10 days. He has 3 kids who he has not seen for 10 years. And after these 10 years, he's still in jail. And I think it's so unfair. And I hope that, I hope that we can have a pen as, the Writers Association and other people put the pressure on Saudi Arabia to release Raif Badawi, because it's such an unfair thing that they're not releasing him even after the 10 years that he has been in jail.
I think yesterday or before yesterday in the UN Council there was draft resolution aggression against Ukraine voted, and which countries were against the appeal, or which country is supporting Russia? It is Belarus. It is the same country, Russia. It is North Korea, Eritrea. I don't know why. Russia self and Syria, of course. But the interesting one is abstention. Who abstained? It was 34 countries. Inside them, India, Iran, Iraq. Who are not voted, who say it like, I don't say yes or no. Bangladesh, Bolivia, Pakistan, and South Sudan. It's go list to 34 countries. Many of them have nuke. It's the interesting one. So the conclusion is, I see some comments. Of course, they say that Putin is elected democratically. Yes, if you believe that, just believe it. Just believe it, my friend.
What?
So where is the opposition?
We just had a pandemic, which was caused by one of the West's enemies. No matter how you think it started, China lied about the pandemic. It has killed people. It has laid down our economy. It has had so many consequences for us. And while Trump was saying they have to pay for this,
and we cannot talk about that even because racism.
They called him racist, right? So if we complain about China, Russia, Iran, we're racists. Even this woke ideology that has been put in place, I think Russia, Iran, and China has done a lot to put this in place. They have worked on our left wing, on our right wing, to make us hate each other, to make us call each other racist and enemies of each other, and polarized our public discourse. And I think the wokeism, just look at TikTok and everything going on in social media, where you cannot criticize other countries. The reason why I'm not on Facebook is because I criticize Iran and Hezbollah, right? So, and other people have been, called racist for criticizing Islam or criticizing China and other countries. This has to stop. We have to understand that we have enemies. This is not a game. We are living in the real world with our enemies who have real militaries who are not, and obviously not afraid of using their military against us. And we should make sure that we don't support these countries, and that we are independent of them. Right now we don't know how to make microchips. We don't know how to make our own computers, our own phones. It's a mess. We have to understand this on all levels and get back our power, both political, digital media, technology, energy. This cannot go on. We
All
have to
these years,
understand
all
this.
these years, while Western countries making those dictator countries stronger militarily, economically, we were busy with abolishing status of our historical people. Can you believe that? The
Yeah,
vote, and I
yeah.
hope it will
And of
be.
course, Russia loved this.
Yeah,
China
of
loved this.
course, of course.
Iran
They
loved
are
this.
laughing. They are laughing after
Yeah,
Western countries. What the heck? They say, look at them.
yeah,
So I hope it will be a change. I hope that, and we don't know outcome of this invasion of Ukraine. We hope that soon it will be over.
yeah.
Really,
As soon as possible.
for the sake of people's life,
I hope
on
that
both sides.
Putin has some logical
Yeah.
sense left, so he can come to the negotiation table, and that a deal can be negotiated, and the war can stop.
Yeah, and before we go on live, I saw one tweet from one of the politicians from Ukraine, and he put a picture that they are having right now a negotiation with Russia.
Yeah,
If it
good
is true,
thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see. Okay, Jaleh, and it was a
Yes.
good, good.
Thank you
It was good to
again.
talk with you. Yeah,
You
and
too. Thank you. And thank you
see.
for all the comments. We love you no matter if you agree with us or you don't agree with us. This is
And
the
and,
whole
and,
point. Yeah.
and people, please try to be not too divided. Okay, we can talk everything.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yes.
can say what is right, what is wrong, what you think, but don't be just on one side. And we are not. Although I'm saying that Putin is a dictator. Yes, he is. He have many crimes in his country,
Yeah.
like Assad, like Saddam. And but the only difference is this country in the middle of the West, and we are dancing with this guy. We are tolerating
Yeah.
him, and he have nuke, and we know all the time. But all the time we think that no, it will not happen. It can happen. So it is the
Yes.
only thing that we have to cut the ties with these people until they do something, and people
Yes.
do
Until
something in
they
their country.
change.
Yes,
Until
uh,
they change.
when we are talking about democracy, for example, they say what you mean of freedom. Freedom is that where I live, where I can say thing without being jailed, without being arrested,
Yes.
kill it. Look at the guy, Saudi
Yes.
Arabia, killing a journalist in Turkey, in embassy. Look at
Hmm.
Putin killing opposition people in England with chemical biologic
Yeah.
weapon.
Yeah.
And
I think they
not
didn't
not
die, but they were, yeah.
no, but one of them had died. The different cases. There is
Okay.
3-4 different cases where they
Okay.
used this. So
Yeah.
we have to fact check, really fact check, because a lot of misinformation is going on
Yeah.
everywhere. And I don't want
Yeah.
to start to talk about freedom of speech and about censorship, both on Russian, pro-Russian TV and other things. And I agree in some certain sites about censoring. I'm not supporting censoring, but if it is about stop financial that they are doing this, it's okay. But we have to have every opinion, even if they are
Yeah.
provocative or absurd or
Yeah.
just conspiration.
Yes.
But you have to deal with that.
The best results in any case, even in production of products, how are you making a phone, right? Or whatever. The best thing we have on this planet is free speech, so we can talk to each other and disagree and have tolerance and have respect for each other, so we can have disagreement, so we can talk about these things, and then we can best make the best solutions, right? this is
most
what
im-
this is
and most
this is how we do
important
it.
is to have peace. Thanks, Nilas, and
Yes.
I am totally agree. And this is,
Yes, of
and the
course.
last thing I want to say: let people's will win. These people are fighting for their freedom. They are dying because of they don't want to be a part of Russia or controlled by Russia. Then we have to support them. This is all about that. But if Donbass want their freedom, I support them too. If the people want their freedom, Ukraine have to accept that these people don't want to be Ukraine.
And
So
you know
easy.
what? There is also a big chance that even the Russians in Ukraine, who are ethnically Russian, there is a chance that they want Ukraine to stay free from Russian dictatorship, right? They want, maybe even the Russians want freedom. We don't know this.
No, no,
Uh,
this is clearly is not like can we say Belarus have the full freedom? No.
yeah.
Some countries we have to look other side how they are ruling the country, how much freedom journalists have, how much freedom people have, how much freedom opposition have, and how many people they have in prison. This can be maybe some things we can look at the countries to decide what kind of freedom or what kind of system they have, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, and
I
take care
agree.
yourself, everyone, and see you
Thank
on
you.
next episode.
And
I
and
hope
and
we will not talk about
like
war
and
more.
comment
Yes,
and become a member. No, not a member.
yes, follow or
Subscribe.
subscribe. Yes,
Yeah.
and sorry for yeah. Okay, no, thank you, and bye bye.
Thank you
See you
so
later.
much. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.